All right, there they are, all the way up to number 13. Now, we've talked through Cousins at 16, Matt Ryan 15, Derek Carr 14, Baker Mayfield 13. Let's start with Matt Ryan. Number 7 last year in your preseason rankings. Fell out of the top 10. Sources tell me he was at number 11 in your in-season adjustment.
Yeah, right.
Now he's down to number 15. Explain yourself, Chris.
Well, there's some players that jumped him and had good years. We had some rookies that came into the league who were real good. The guys that we just talked about there, right there, Derek Carr and Mayfield, I got them jumping him from what I saw from last year. Yeah, Matt Ryan, a year older, still really good. I don't want to take that away from him. A guy that, again, I'll make the statement. You can win a Super Bowl with Matt Ryan. There's no doubt. He's more than a system quarterback.
No, you can be up 28.
You can be up 28 to 3. Yes, right.
Matt
Yes. Well, also listen, he can deserve some of the blame there, but I do think that their defense could have helped out a little too. But again, there's a lot of positive things Matt Ryan can do. Yeah, does he need a system to a degree? Sure. But, man, for a guy that's not super, super athletic and everything like that, man, he makes a lot of plays outside of the system. He's still an incredible thrower in the 10 to 20-yard range. When you break him down, he's so accurate, great decision makers that way. And then even for your prototypical pocket-type quarterback, the one thing that always jumps out to me when I go back and watch these guys to do these rankings, man, he moves a lot better than you remember or give him credit for. Makes a lot of nice plays, scrambling for 5, or just getting out of the harm's way to get a completion down the field and doing those type of things. So he is a good athlete, not a great athlete. He's not going to do a lot of scrambling and things like that. But, overall, still playing at a high level, and I think, good enough. That's why you don't draft a quarterback at number 4 this year for Atlanta, because we got a few more years left of Matt Ryan playing high-level football at the quarterback position.
Arthur Smith, one of the key ingredients in the turnaround of Ryan Tannehill, who was never an MVP candidate before Arthur Smith got his hands on him. I think Smith recognized early on, hey, I can win with Matt Ryan.
Right.
I got multiple years left. Remember, there was the conflicting reports in March, I think before Arthur Blank decided to get everyone on the same page, frankly, that Terry Fontenot wanted to think about a quarterback at number 4. Arthur Smith wanted to stick with Matt Ryan for multiple years. They worked that out quickly.
Right.
And I was told at the time there was never much of a dispute that those reports were overblown. But, it may have been a trial balloon to see how people reacted to it. The bottom line is Arthur Smith's on board with Matt Ryan, and he's going to be the guy. And, even though he's down to 15, he's 1 year away from getting back into the top 10, even with Julio Jones gone.
Right.
Kyle Pitts, hell of a weapon. Calvin Ridley, ready to step up and be the number 1 guy. They got, and it's we get so caught up in focusing on a team's offense. How good a team's defense is has a major impact on how well the offense performs.
Sure.
How many red zone opportunities you have. How many occasions you're pinned in your own end, or you just, how desperate you are because you're down 14 points in the second quarter, and the opposing defense is teeing off on you already and disrupting your ability to do what you want to do because you become one-dimensional.
Right.
There's so many things that go into it, and that Falcons defense just hasn't been very good the past few years.
They definitely not. And the offense has had its inconsistent moments too, of just, hey, we jump out on a lead against this team, and then we, disappear for 2 quarters. Or, we disappeared at the start of the game, and now we're down 20-0, and now we march back and make it a football game. To me, that's the interesting thing about Matt Ryan. A little bit of the negative, I think, is where I go that way too, because you're right. Like, the team hasn't been great. They've had injuries. His stats, I think, have also, to a degree, somewhat benefited from that too, because he has more yards and things like that came in garbage time. And the game, the competitive part of the game was over, and then you start to go, oh, here, look at all these big plays. It'll be a big year for Matt Ryan.
Bortles phenomenon.
What's that?
The Blake Bortles phenomenon.
Well, yeah, a little. But, like, the thing that, is going to be interesting what you bring up with Arthur Smith is, hey, that's been a down-the-field, big play type of throw offense with Ryan Tannehill, who's been one of the best deep ball throwers in football, if not the best, the last 2 years. Matt Ryan, deep ball is one of the reasons I think he's fallen down the list for me a little bit. explosive throws, game-changing throws. There are some yards left on the field at times where you go, hey, this guy's gone, 70-yard touchdown. If he just throws it on the money. Oh, he had to slow down. It was a 40-yard completion. Oh, they kicked a field goal that should have been a touchdown. There's definitely some of that, or balls that just don't get there because they don't have quite the heat and pace on it that you would like that way. But I think that, to me, is where he fell off a little bit too. Just unable to maybe just carry the team or assert his presence the right way when – wait, things aren't going good right now, and we need somebody to make a play or do something for us to jumpstart us. And that's where I think some of the guys in front of him have been a little bit better, especially the last year and going forward, than where Matt Ryan was.
I'm going to give him more credit than that because I think he has suffered from a bad supporting cast, no running back.
That's true, no doubt.
Has been bad. And I think that when you do your in-season evaluation this year, he's going to be higher than number 15, maybe all the way back.
Hey, this is I don't disagree with that. This is these numbers we're talking about, 15 through a 10 or 11. This is the hardest part of my rankings. These are really good quarterbacks that you're starting to get nitpicky with. I'm talking about a guy, Matt Ryan, who's really awesome. But I give, Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield, as we'll dive into that, the advantage of that over him right now because of, a few minute things that we'll discuss here in a few minutes. But still really good.
Let's talk about Derek Carr.
Let's do it.
Because you have him at number 14.
Yeah.
Which hopefully is enough to get Derek Carr to unblock the PFT Twitter account. There's some respect, Derek. You're at number 14, baby. Yeah, Sims did the list, but I'll take credit for the stuff that people like. I'll take no credit or blame for the things people don't like, including number 10, but that's still to come. Derek Carr at number 14, what is it that you saw that caused you to bump him up from number 19?
Well, he played the game efficient as hell last year. Made a lot of plays. And my biggest knock on Derek Carr going into last year, if you can remember, was just like, hey, let it loose, let it fly. Stop being so careful with the ball. Force the ball into a few windows. Don't just lay the ball out there in the middle of the field and go, wait, I just want a completion. No, let it rip and get a 70-yard touchdown like we're talking about. That's what I saw more of from Derek Carr last year. So there was that aspect. And then, playmaking ability like that right there. Listen, that's the one thing that jumped out to me more than anything. Subtle movements in the pocket and throwing under pressure from different platforms is much better than I remember or expected when I went back and studied him. He does have the ability to throw the ball sidearm, do those type of things, and he is a pretty damn good athlete. He's not going to run down the sidelines for a 40-yard gain, but makes a lot of great moves in the pocket, can get outside of the pocket. I think really understands the game now. He's accurate as hell. There's not a lot not to like from Derek Carr and the way he's playing, other than I would go, you could still be more aggressive. You could still let it fly a little bit more and help your team out because you have the talent to do that type of stuff.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. We talked yesterday about Derek Carr, the fact that he had his best statistical season by almost every factor last year. He's got to the point where he's mastered the offense. He can drive the Ferrari. That's what we always say about the John Gruden offense. He wants you to drive the Ferrari without scratching it. Minimal scratches on the Ferrari last year, and this gets back to what we discussed earlier. This is the year. This is it. Up or out. I don't know that for Carr, it's more up or out than it is Gruden, because I think that if they fail to get to the playoffs this year, there will be increased pressure on Gruden to get a different quarterback next year. I think there will be. And they're going to have to make a decision because next year is the last year of Derek Carr's contract. And he doesn't have to have a new contract if he stays. But I just think that after this season is a good time to make some sort of a decision.
Yeah.
Are we going to renew our vows with Derek Carr, or are we going to move on? Because Aaron Rodgers still out there potentially, and the Raiders on his wish list. Russell Wilson, Raiders on his wish list. Deshaun Watson, potentially, Raiders on his wish list. So there will be options for upgrades. Guys who we have yet to unveil on this show this year that are out there that would be upgrades for the Raiders. I think that that's a fair question. And this is the year. It's more important for Derek Carr than John Gruden to get to the playoffs this year. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, it's a solid point. It's certainly something to think about there. If he plays the way he did last year, and even a little bit better, man, I'd have a hard time trading him for anything. Especially like we talked about with Gruden and the fact that he's wired. He took a step to me this year, not only in like the mastering of the offense like we're talking about, but his attitude too. I go back and don't play this tape yet, guys, but like that Kansas City game, I can still remember the second game. They've beat Kansas City in Kansas City. Now it's the Sunday Night Football game. I can remember the first series of the game. They drove down. It was all on his plate. They got down close to the red zone. Kansas City did something a little different, and it kind of like messed up the robot for a second. They had to call a timeout. And I remember him coming off the sideline looking at Gruden. Gruden was like, kind of like, and he's like, yep, I got it. Yeah, they fooled me. I got it. Blah, 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 blah. The rest of the game, he was on point and really gave them issues. And here, let's play some of these clips, Kristen, so you can just – he's all over everything. That's the thing jumps out to me. Of course, I know this offense, and mentally – just always the right things. Not that these are checks or anything like that, but you could see there's comfort, control in the offense. Little. Linda, you got to go 50. All over pass protections. Hey, Linda means go to the guy to the left. I put the guy in the middle. Let's Linda and go to 50. O-line, get that right. Bam, gets the right protection. Now it's a touchdown pass. There's just so much of that, and there's a lot on his plate. More than I think people realize, and he did a really good job with it, let alone his physical play, I thought was close to special last year with some of the stuff he did in a lot of games.
So what does he have to do this year? What do you expect from him?
Well, just like you said for Matt Ryan and all that, first off, their defense needs to help out a little bit. That's for sure. And these wide receivers got to, come to the party and show up finally here, too. Like Henry Ruggs, the honeymoon's over. We got guys that were drafted after you and in the second round who way outperformed you. So I look at Derek Carr to just continue what you're doing. Hopefully the guys around you get better. And if there's just that one thing I would say is just, yeah, he can still be more aggressive. That's the one thing that I came away with to just go, when I watched film, there was still a handful of throws, few throws every game where I'd go, just let that rip. You got him. You're too talented to turn that down and throw the 5-yard shallow cross instead and some of that. And I think that's the biggest thing that jumps out to me.
Well, hey, the table is set, and we'll see. They'll have the full stadium of fans this year. It's going to be happening, and they get started week 1 on Monday Night Football with the Ravens coming to town. So a stiff test for Derek Carr right out of the gates. 13, one of the Ravens' arch rivals in Cleveland. Their quarterback, Baker Mayfield, first overall pick in 2018, on the verge of becoming a superstar. I thought maybe you'd have him a little higher.
I know.
Chris. Why 13 for Baker Mayfield?
Because there's so many. There's good quarterbacks. I mean, you'll see the top 10. It's hard. When you see the top 10, tell me who you want me to kick out to put Baker Mayfield in there.
Listen.
I know. It's brutal.
He's a top 10 quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback. You got 20 top 10 quarterbacks.
I know.
When it's time to list him, it gets difficult.
It gets difficult, 100%. And it was tough. But, man, an unbelievable leap. I mean, what a year he had last year. And I think, the one thing that just comes to my mind with Baker Mayfield, grip it and rip it. Man, there are so many, Mike, high-level, aggressive, downfield throws that Baker Mayfield made all year long, especially the second half of the year. The first half of the year was good. He was kind of learning his way in the offense. The second part of the year, he started to carry the offense just as much as it carried him. And, I maybe swept it under the rug, under the radar, out of my mind or whatever. But the one thing that just popped to me was when I turned it back on, even there, that guy's covered like glue. Perfect throw, on the money, aggressive as hell. Good coverage here. Boom. Perfect spot outside. There are so many throws in the bootleg and play action game where he's running to the right full speed, and Jarvis Landry's open by 3 inches, 25 yards down the field. He throws it and doesn't think twice, rips it in there, perfect throw, 30-yard completion. A tremendous deep ball, explosive arm thrower, and he can change momentum of the game with his right arm. And I think, he cleaned up mechanics last year. He was a better decision maker. He was more mature on and off the field like we talked about. And he had moments where I just went, whoa. I mean, that's big-time throws, big-time plays, way to play that game, Baker Mayfield. And that's why he rose for me. And he is borderline top 10-ish type talent for sure.
And you put him in the category of the guy who can make chicken salad when the play that's called falls apart, right?
I do. He is one of the things I got written down here. Tight window thrower, high degree difficulty. The other thing I wrote is not a great runner, but a great mover and a hopper. Oh, my gosh. That's the other thing that he pops out is here he is. He's got a bootleg. Oh, man, there's a free defense end. He makes the move to break the guy's ankle and then throws the ball. So it might not be running, but all you could picture him right in the pocket. He's hopping around, and then he's throwing the ball. Like he's got an innate ability to kind of see both and make it happen. Not a great runner, but a great mover is what I would say about Baker Mayfield.
That is a sneaky, great Week 1 game. I almost wish that it had been held for later in the season. Browns and Chiefs.
Right.
But man, what a game that's going to be. The Mayfield-Mahomes game from 2016, 66-59, I think was the final score. Ridiculous numbers for both. And I'm sure Mayfield wants to turn that into a rivalry with Mahomes. And they've got the team now to do it, and Mayfield's the quarterback to do it. And, Tate, 2019, regression. And you see what happens when you don't have good coaching.
It is
Coaching's
tough,
part of this. You made the point. The footwork was sloppy. Various things had fallen off. Just because you figured it out, you still have to have repetition. You have to be thinking about it. You have to have everything lined up just right, or you will see yourself dip in relation to the guys who are constantly buttoned up and coached and told what to do and reminded what to do, and they go through that process. It's easy to let your habits slip.
Yeah, it is. You got to stay on top. That's why we see Brady, Rodgers. They're always all over those type of things. It is. You could take a month off from football and not throw, and you could lose some of those things if somebody doesn't stay on top of you. And you think you're doing it the right way, but then you go back and watch film and go, damn, I'm not. Like, so I got to have somebody out here watching me a little bit. So all of that improved. It definitely did. And yeah, definitely one of those candidates, Mike, to your point, where he could be the guy that maybe challenges Mahomes and the Chiefs and it becomes a rivalry. Let's not forget, too, like Baker Mayfield was kind of moved out of Texas Tech and Cliff Kingsbury because Mahomes was coming in. That was part of the reasons he transferred to Oklahoma. They knew Mahomes was coming. I think they were kind of like, okay, we like you, but they weren't sure how much they liked him, and they thought Mahomes was special, and they were like, all right, you can transfer. So that would add to the rivalry, too, in a cool kind of way.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.